Welcome, everybody, to the Final Assault VR Master League. My name is NightFiree with 2 E's, and I'm joined with my co-caster, Sleepy, with 2 3's. Sleepy, how are you today?
I am doing well, Nightfire. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad that we are back on Final Assault for the Final Assault VRML. It's week 5. We haven't really gotten as much coverage as we wanted to. It's a little bit of just unfortunate timing for everyone, but we're back. We're here, and we're hoping to get everything all squared away, get a nice team going for this game. Make sure we have that consistent, continued coverage from here forth.
Final Assault, free to play right now, so the best of times to be getting into Final Assault. Do recommend you getting in there, and they're also running a tournament at the is it World
Cyber Games,
Yeah.
yes, in Jiangwan. I'm not even going to try and butcher
Yeah.
that Chinese, but it's in China, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And we have both players in lobby readied up. 2 gallons on Sternberg, a relatively tight map, 2 lanes with those auxiliary lanes you can place troops on that'll end up kind of backdooring the base towers. See what sort of strats we have coming out today. I expect a lot of infantry, a lot of tanks. And I don't think we're going to keep them waiting around much longer. We'll go ahead and give the players a ready. Sleepy, before you go down and hit these people up, what do you think of the matchup today?
Well, I think both of these players are coming in more relatively new than some of the veterans that we have in this community. You know, some of these guys have been in the game since it was in beta stages and even before in some cases. So a lot of our players have a really, really in-depth knowledge of the game. But I think with these 2 guys, Bartuby Jones and Peskycashew, I think they're both new enough to where they know enough about the game because they've been putting in the time, but they're not like, you know, just like meta geniuses, right? They're not just going to completely destroy the other person. I think we're in for a pretty good matchup here.
All right, well, let's not keep them waiting any longer. Just need you to ready up, really, and then we will be starting up map number 1 of this 3-map series. Bartuby Jones versus Peskycashew. If you are just tuning in, head on over to the VRMasterLeague.com/Final Assault website. You can register, join up in the league, find the Discord, Twitter, and Twitch links there. Get all of your Final Assault info you need. And without further ado, let's hop into Sternberg. One of the things we were just talking about offline before hopping into the series was that these maps, their size and the lane disbursement differs so drastically, it completely changes play styles. And so I think the map pool today is pretty diverse. We have Sternberg here. I'd say it's a medium-sized map. The base is pretty close, but in comparison to some of the other maps we have today, there's definitely there's a wide open one, and then a map even tighter than this. I can't recall the names, but we'll get on that and give you that information in a bit. First, diving into the map 1, Bartuby Jones on the red side, Peskycashew on blue. Get your orientations right there as well, just so you know what sides to be looking at, what sides to be rooting for. And it's interesting because what we're gonna have is we could have a mirror battle here, right? We could have tank v tank, infantry v infantry. Bartuby Galland is the infantry for Germany, so buying those infantry units is going to be cheaper. But Bartuby Jones actually opting in for artillery and tanks, and pretty he's lost command of that lane as these troop trucks are just pumping out the units.
Yeah, sorry, Nightfire. I've been a little distant. I had a message come in that I had to take care of. Anyways, mod life, hashtag mod life, you know what it is. Anyways, though, back into our game here. Yeah, it's looking like maybe my mouse will start working now. It looks like the north lane there. Is that the north lane? I always get confused of what's north and south. Can I get an overhead map, devs, with a compass rose on it?
You just hit F5, it takes you right over to the top.
That's a good point. So yeah, the north lane pretty much at a stalemate, but it does look like Peskycashew on the blue side there has got a pretty decent control of the south side. He's controlling that cargo drop. Bartuby's not really able to get much of his armor in there without it being attacked. He is now kind of starting to get the sneak in, and he's even utilizing some of his airplanes in order to get a different angle on the enemy. And now he has weakened Peskycashew's defenses there quite a bit, and now will make a push back. He does find one piece, but overall still pretty much a stalemate. I think Bartuby Jones has a little bit more damage down to his towers, but other than that, it's a pretty dead heat, NightFiree.
Yeah, both positioning themselves for the cash drop that should be coming up pretty soon here. Bartuby already has one of them, and you can see those the Willy Jeeps, that's what I was looking for, coming out there, although I'm sure they're not called that on the German side. But dude, the Jeeps getting positioned out there to get those cash drops, and the artillery coming in from Bartuby that's really doing work on this hilltop does get finally bombed by Peskycashew. He has invested into those tier 3 units, as has Bartuby, but we haven't seen any dive bombers come out from him yet.
Yes, well, Bartuby on tier 3 doesn't actually have any dive bombers. He's just, oh wait, no, because tier 3 is actually, never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong thing. Sorry.
Scold you later.
Scold you later. Well, you'll have to wait quite a bit later, because after this, I have a V-Respawn episode to shoot, NightFiree.
Anti-air coming in.
Does tomorrow work for you?
Yeah, we can do that. German anti-air, definitely one of the harder to deal with. It's got like a, it seems to me like it's got a smaller hitbox. It's a little bit more maneuverable than the more cumbersome AA trucks from the American side, and so those are out, and he sent those in a circle pattern around his artillery to defend from any of these dive bombers, and also kind of avoid the dive bombers itself. He's got this tank circling around too as well, and the circle strategy definitely a key way of having your idle units avoid being dive bombed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the only thing I dislike about the German AAA is I feel like it's a bit weaker than the American AAA. Its agility definitely makes up for its DPS lacking, but
they're not
I honestly
changing
think
tires, Sleepy.
What?
It's just anti. There's two A's.
What did I call it?
AAA.
Oh, well, that's because that's what it's called in everything else in modern war. It's called AAA. Advanced Anti-Aircraft. No, it's aircraft, anti-aircraft armament. It's AAA. I was a weapons tech in the Air Force. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Tank destroyers coming in from Pesky. These have definitely some of the longer range out of any of these tanks, and so he's almost had it sitting back at his tower. And in comparison to an anti-tank gun, like it almost has the same range. It's really quite long, and so it can do work onto the tower and this middle lane. But he's got to protect it from the dive bombers and the swarm of planes above it.
Yeah, Bartuby is definitely using his air assets a little bit more than I feel like Pesky is. Pesky's definitely got them spawned, but they're all mostly just kind of circling back around the base. He's got two fighters now out to run some intercept, and they do connect and take out one of the dive bombers, but Bartuby Jones still making quite good progress with those dive bombers, and there goes another tank destroyer out in the middle, just as I call that out. But I think Bartuby's actually been doing the better job of controlling these cash drops. We can see he's got both of the cash drops so far in the map, Pesky with none of them, and their net worth is amazing. They were right on top of each other. One was 111, one was 112, and now it's kind of even back out here.
More anti-air for Bartuby, and we're in a nice little duel here. Both trying to micro their anti-air and take out the fighters and dive bombers. No tank destroyers or tier 4 units coming out from Bartuby yet. He hasn't even upgraded to that tier 4 yet, so doesn't have the tank destroyer option. And I think Peskycashew's best line of attack, or best approach of attack, is to bring in more of these tank destroyers and utilize that tier 4 advantage. He's got 2 of them now, and I think may continue to invest in more here.
Yeah, those tank destroyers come into play quite well, especially when you have to start making some more aggressive pushes. But like you said, it has the longer range of the anti-tank weapon, like the anti-tank gun. So he can utilize it from outside range to start working at those towers. Because right now in the south, it's just a little infantry battle on this hill. or on this main lane, and that's it. Everything else is, I think it's really just Pesky trying to fend Bartuby off from his gates here, as Bartuby has complete and total control of the north lane.
Got a little plane micro coming in here as they're trying to thin the
Micros turned macro.
herd. Yeah, the herd of planes. Pesky definitely dominating the skies here. He has maybe 10 planes in the air right now.
Yeah, officially
8.
9 by the count on the
and a
board.
bomber.
Yeah, 8 fighters and a bomber. That's right. Meanwhile, Bartuby has just 2 fighters and 2 bombers on the field, which I think he's more focused on his main push, which is the attack. He is fighting. He is fending off Pesky when he comes around to kind of, you know, challenge him. But overall, I think he's actually more focused on the main attack, and he's just microing the planes just enough to either keep them safe or to kind of, you know, throw a wrench into Pesky's plans for him.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, that swarm hovering over his base is going to make it really hard for Bartuby to utilize any dive bombers here, and still hasn't upgraded to the tier 4. So still no tank destroyers to counter the tank destroyers. There's the upgrade finally coming in now. And you can see the net worth. Peskycashew is really starting to strangle out Bartuby here. Has a ton of units out on the field. Has his no bazooka trucks coming in from him, interestingly enough. You have a few of those coming in from Bartuby. And I think that's why he has the pressure he does on this north lane, almost destroying one of Pesky's base towers. And if you look at Pesky's focus, he's really not looking at his base as that tower goes down. He now finally has shifted his attention there.
Yeah, sorry, I thought somebody had joined our Discord channel because I heard one of the character models saying something. Threw me off a bit. But yeah, you're absolutely right, NightFiree. Pesky's not really checking this north gate. I mean, it does look like maybe he sees it when he comes back here to start drawing out. Yeah, there we go. He's moving some units now to the gate defense, so he's definitely aware that it's happening now. He did probably lose a little bit of focus, and I think that's why that side started to burn like it did. But overall, he's starting to mount a nice little counteroffensive here. He's got Bartuby's infantry on the ropes right outside the gate exits. He's slowly retaking the north lane. I mean, you're right. His net worth and this just strangling out of Bartuby is slowly working for him. I mean, I was at a point where I was going to call this first map for Bartuby, but now Pesky's just really come back here, spent his economy very well. He's not losing a lot, even though he's spending quite a lot. Like, his net worth just keeps climbing. I don't really see it falling a whole lot. Whereas Bartuby Jones, he's buying a lot and he's building up net worth in units, but he's also losing quite a lot of them. So that net worth is just dropping right back, and his cash flow is just upping even more. Like, because the more units you're losing, the more cash you're having to spend. So right now, Pesky's meter just been sitting at 30 for a while, and he doesn't even need to buy units right now, but he probably will in order to better mount his offensive.
First cash grab from Pesky coming in there a couple of minutes ago. Definitely will help his economy, and that's why he was able to keep the numbers and his net worth up. That's why it hasn't gone down as he's continued this push. Still sort of neglecting to deal with these bazooka troopers over here on the north side, though. They are really doing work. They're managing to go just like they walk right past the tank destroyers. The tank destroyers are focused on the turrets, and they charge down this lane. I think there's 5 or 6 of them posted up there. And interestingly enough, Pesky has the easy counter. He has 10 attack planes that he could send down this lane to strafe it, and none of them are doing that. They're all just flying around his base right now. They're not being. He's focusing on his attack so much.
Yeah, he is. I mean, this is exactly what happened to him the last time until he finally kind of stepped back a second and looked at his base. But now that tower's finally burned, the red troops are starting to make their way in. Yeah, base damage is definitely being incoming shortly. And yeah, you're right. I mean, the strafing runs from those planes, he's got so many of them. Yeah. He could have taken out these troops days ago. Yeah. And I mean, just completely wiped them with like 1 strafe run, maybe 2, because they're very effective versus the infantry troops. Now, I'm not sure if the bazooka troops, or in this case, the Panzerschreck troops, have any more damage resistance than the standard infantry. I would assume maybe, since it's a higher tier, but maybe it's just because they cause more damage. But anyways, yeah, I mean, they're completely unopposed, and those fighters would be a great way to work against that.
Here comes the base damage. No more troop trucks to help him out. Now he hasn't sent a single unit here, a single plane to strafe. He's going to take a good chunk before he starts to deal with this. I think he just gets the notification, and now he sees there's an army here right at his doorstep, and he's lucky that this wave came out and that the bazooka troops are dealing with it. Still no strafing from these planes.
I think he's forgotten about his planes, NightFiree. I mean, I don't know how, because they're buzzing around the base like a bunch of mosquitoes, but he's really using them to focus the offensive press. He's not really using them to defend the base much. I mean, if anything, just send them in a constant vertical loop, right? So that they can just come back through and just run a few targets constantly while you're not managing them.
Does finally get some tanks there, and they clean up the fairly wounded bazooka troops that were on that hill. And
yeah, they've been alive for a while, so I mean, they were tired anyways. They're like, you know what, just kill me. I got my cousin coming in behind me, and that's the thing, because he might be able to slow it down, but it's not stopping because Bartuby's got troops just on constant flush through that north lane. So even when Pesky's able to rid these guys of the entrance, they still got backup on the way. It's like he's not really doing anything. He's just kind of postponing the inevitable at this point.
Yeah, I think what Bartuby needs is some additional troop trucks to reinforce that top lane so that he can deal with the waves a bit better, and then have those bazooka units actually deal damage to the tanks and the base. The push coming in from Bartuby here, though. A couple of tank destroyers out in the middle, and he's got Pesky on the back foot here.
Oh, absolutely. To me, he's had him on the back foot for quite some time now, but I really did think that Pesky was going to fight his way back off the ropes for a moment. But yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. The only thing I would think would be for Bartuby to like move his troop trucks up now, right? To keep the transit time on those troops who are quite slow in that north lane, and just fill that lane with troops. I mean, just put body on body on body in that lane and just keep the flow coming, because I think if he does, it'll take some of the pressure off of that artillery that's sitting on the hill, and then maybe that'll actually be able to do some more damage and take out some of the heavier stuff that might actually prevent his troops from making it into the gate, taking base damage.
Finally has one of his fighters on a strafe run on that lane, but here comes the anti-air to try and thin away this herd of units that he has floating above his base. And I think this is going to be another cash drop for Bartuby, his 5th one in the round so far, and that's the reason Bartuby's still in this match, because he's managed to get all those cash drops.
I think you're exactly right, NightFiree. I mean, because Peskycashew has held a higher net worth than Bartuby for some time now, and for a while, Pesky wasn't even having to buy. He had so many units on the field that just weren't dying, and then all of a sudden, now he's back on the ropes. Like he said, he's taken about half base damage at this point. He's not got very much left. So from here on out, he's gonna have to micro the hell out of his main base just to clear everything out, and then he can think about starting to push forward. But at this point, I think it's really just going to be about delaying the inevitable, because I think it may just be too far gone at this point.
Yeah, Bartuby just needs to keep bringing in these tank destroyers, and honestly, he can avoid all of these units that Pesky's throwing at him and just have his tank destroyer hit that base. I think it's hard to have your tank destroyer avoid units in front of it, but he is getting real close to just backdooring Pesky's base, and Pesky's, I think, a last-ditch effort here sent out 4 tanks to this lane. Tanks are not the best of counters to tank destroyers, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of in the name, right? Tank destroyer. So, but no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's done very well. I mean, he saved a lot of the guys. You know, I've watched a few Final Assault matches over the season, even the ones I haven't been able to cast. But, you know, I see a lot of guys, as soon as the base melts past about 50%, like, they just concede, right? Like, but here, we see Pesky, he actually pulled it out of his butt and saved it with, like, 10% of his base health left. And now he's actually made a push out of the main gate. He's kind of started to regain some footing here. I mean, it's a little too late, because Bartuby is just, once again, here comes the reinforced troops with all the armor now. Yeah, it's just not going to be enough. This has been a great first map, and coming up just over 16.5 minutes. Not a bad time frame. I mean, not a short blowout, not a big, long, drawn-out 45-minute match. I think a good balance here, but yet still a lot of intense gameplay and a lot of back and forth between these two competitors.
More tanks getting flung at the tank destroyer. Slowly working it down, and Bartuby with the damage on the back door just keeps sending those tank destroyers in to poke down. Gets the victory. Map number 1 to him.
That is it, but gotta give it to Pesky. He really put up a great fight on that map. I mean, from the gate, Bartuby was kind of edging him out slowly over time and just slowly. And then all of a sudden, bang, things flipped. Pesky was on the offensive. He was dominating the economy. He had Bartuby on the ropes. He was at Bartuby's main gates. And then all of a sudden, it's just, things went awry, and Pesky was, like you said, on the back foot, and that was it after that.
On to map number 2. It will be on,
Yes.
I don't know, how do you want to say this one? Maginot?
Maginot, I think is how it's pronounced technically, but yeah, you can call it Maginot if you want.
A bit of a larger, more open.
Oh, I haven't seen this one played in competitive play yet.
I don't think I have either. Now that I think about it, the
other
bridges
than
don't
the
ring a bell.
Yeah, I did cast this map with one of our other VRML
yeah.
caster buddies, Noman, in a Blaze, which is an onward team for the VRML. They were hosting basically a fun little tournament. They've been doing it kind of weekly if there's been enough participation. I mean, not really any prizes other than bragging rights, of course, and some time to practice against some good players. But yeah, I mean, we were both in there, and I think we did get to cast this one. I like this map because, I have casted this one, in fact, yes, because what I think we're going to see is whoever dominates that middle point, right, that center cargo drop area, if they can completely shut down the enemy push into that, the match is theirs. Because that point is very key, and it's going to be all about how the teams utilize those bridges, and if they spot an opening, can they utilize it quickly enough without making it obvious to their opponent, and allowing that opponent to kind of shut the door on them.
Both players ready. Bartuby Jones on the red side, Peskycashew on the blue. And I mean, yeah, just look at the scale here of the maps. This is one thing that you got to be careful of on these larger maps, and I think we're going to see a lot of it here, especially out of Pesky, just because we saw it on that smaller map, is the tunnel vision happens. Players will really just focus on one side or one section and not direct their attention and not focus on the entirety of the map and really lose control that way.
You're absolutely right. I'm just waiting to see what these guys do first as their opening moves. It's like some tanks coming out from both sides right away.
2 tanks and an artillery unit. Mirror units coming out. It is of worth to note that we did switch from Gallon with the German infantry units to the American tank unit, Beaumont. So we should see those. Look
at you learning these. I
know what's going on, man. Should see the anti-tank guns come out here, and eventually some of those mobile artillery tanks.
Yeah, Pesky and Bartuby going at it already with the armor on the center. I said, and I'll say it 100 times, whoever's going to control this spot will probably win the match. It's not a guarantee, but for some reason, players always fixate on this part of the map. Always, always, always. It almost goes this south lane, or I'm sorry, the north lane, in fact, where the bunkers are up on the hillside. That usually goes untamed for so long, or it'll just be, random infantry battles like we're seeing now, kind of the automatic spawn troops just running their lane and getting tied up there in the center. Now, Bartuby has placed a Jeep up there in order to cover for any supply drops, and it does look like he is going to pick one up because one has just come in.
Yeah, he just sent it over there too.
Yeah, he must have read the field. I don't know if these drops are actually are they randomized, or are they?
It's a minor. It's like between 2 and 5 minutes that the drops come in. So you can.
I'm wondering if they happen at the same spot first each time.
Oh,
Like if
no,
the
it's
pattern of the spots is the same each
it's
time.
all the timing is random and their location is random
Gotcha.
between, within reason. But yeah, nicely timed Jeep there from Bartuby to get out there and catch that cash grab. And Pesky's, that's one thing he's got to try and get a little bit better at this map is getting those cash drops, because I think it was 6-1 last map in favor of Bartuby Jones. And even now, Bartuby has real good map control with his tanks circling around the right objectives to defend the artillery units that are hammering down on the lanes. But this is why we haven't seen any other units out of Pesky. He was sitting and investing, and now you see the Calliopes, the mobile artillery tank, and the anti-tank gun coming out. So some big upgrades for him, and I think Bartuby has realized that he's now a little bit outgunned, and I expect him, doesn't invest in those mobile artillery tanks. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more anti-tank guns come out from either one of these sides, because it's a real staple of the Beaumont.
Well, it is a bit expensive, or can be expensive, waiting for it, I guess I should say, just to get to that tier, because you do have to wait for it to basically be, to have enough money to purchase. But yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that the Calliope's not been sent out a little bit more aggressively. However, I do feel that Pesky will probably draw in some more tank destroyers here before too long to set up a last kind of defensive position on the banks of his side of the bridges. But right now, Bartuby has somehow once again just completely regained control. He's soon to be knocking on Pesky's doors.
It's the micro of this anti-tank gun. He managed to take one out by slowly inching it forward. Took out the anti-tank gun while he had a Jeep distract it, and then almost got the mobile artillery tank there before Pesky realized it and pulled it back. And he's got to be careful because he doesn't have control of his basically this open field in front of these bridges. They're totally guarded by anti-tank guns right now.
Bartuby gonna send in some light backup here with the Willys Jeep. Ooh, but the mobile artillery tank, the Calliope, if you will, just raining down some hellfire. And I didn't even realize it, but he's put 2 or 3 of those out on the board now, NightFiree.
Yeah, he has that one that got half healthed. Now starting to move up, and he's got that other one on the south lane. A couple of anti-tank guns getting positioned, getting set up into some nice spots as well to defend. And
ooh,
it's going to be the battle of anti-tank guns and positioning those things to be able to fire on a front line. And right now, Pesky is establishing a pretty strong anti-tank gun front line.
Yeah, he really is. He did just lose that half-health Calliope, though, and unfortunately, in a gunfight, it was under-ranged. It was not able to hit its target because it was under its minimum firing distance, especially with those artillery shells. So it did get taken out. But yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, and as I kind of predicted, I don't want to say that I called it, because I think anyone who's got half a brain would put up an anti-tank wall on this on this side of the bridge. But we're seeing exactly that. Pesky's got now 3 tank destroyers out there. Nice solid line defense going across. The bridges are pretty much going to be, I mean, just impassable to Bartuby unless he takes those out. Because I mean, yeah, just 2 shots from a tank destroyer will kill your basic tank.
Trying to send in some Jeeps, a Jeep squadron, but interestingly enough, Pesky, he has also left all the Jeeps that have brought those anti-tank guns by the anti-tank gun, so they're able to sort of counter the Jeep barrage over the bridge, and it's looking like Pesky's really got a nice defense set up here, even though Bartuby has been slowly gaining advantage on this north lane.
Yeah, that is one place where Pesky has not been paying attention, unfortunately. I mean, every time troops have come up this north lane, or I think it's actually, no, it is the north lane, okay. Yeah. Every time they bring troops up that lane, it's just, they just walk right to his gates, basically, or right outside until they finally start meeting that resistance. Now what I need to see from Pesky, I think, is for him to start pushing more of that armor across the bridge. Start moving those tank destroyers forward and taking that center section for your own, right? You know, just inching your defensive line forward, your support line forward. Maybe even send a couple of tank destroyers in there oh, wait, he doesn't have tank destroyers with this guns. Yeah. Well, I was thinking of tank destroyers, but it's the wrong But yeah, so I guess in this case, his best option would be to
What's
send
last map?
the artillery tanks in a little bit forward, maybe try and clear the area, and then while that's happening, begin to stage your anti-tank guns in order to better defend that new front line that you'll have created for yourself. Bartuby's still in control
Oh, this is
of one of the cash drop points. Pesky
interesting.
on the other now.
I was wondering how Bartuby had control of this lane because I didn't notice any real additional troop trucks, but he has had this one tucked behind this tower, like it's behind this bunker. You almost really don't see it if you're not paying attention, and it's basically spawning units out onto the front line. Yeah, it's really tucked in there. He's sending some more out here too to reinforce this lane, and he's hiding them back there on purpose.
Yeah, that's some intelligent play right there. I mean, you're right. I didn't see it at all.
You don't see,
I
if
flew
you go
all the way
to
to his base.
go to Pesky's view, you don't see them there either. Unless Pesky goes over to that hill, he won't see those, so he won't know why he's losing the advantage here in this lane. Bartuby here with some savvy plays. He's trying to counter the mobile artillery with mobile artillery of his own, and he has the height advantage, so he'll be able to... I mean, he's really...
Okay. Yeah, now what Pesky needs to do, though, because look, Bartuby is so distracted on this push that Pesky is actually making pretty damn good headway on the very southernmost bridge. He's already across the center section. Now he's pushing towards Bartuby's section of the map. So now if he can draw out a few extra troops while Bartuby's not paying attention, he can really push those central lanes and get his way all the way up to Bartuby's base with very little to, if any, resistance. However, Bartuby showing me that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, as his artillery tank actually has quite a good coverage on that northern bridge. And he does start to move the tank destroyers up.
Yeah, anti-tank guns. Pesky, yeah, Pesky's getting him up there. ATGs might be easier to...
Yeah.
Might be able to get that mobile artillery tank up onto that lane. He's got to be careful in investing units and resources onto that attack because Bartuby is on the offensive here. He sent a couple of a little tank squadron along with the artillery to try and circle around these anti-tank guns.
Got hammered.
Yeah. Having a hard time dealing with it. He needs anti-tank guns of his own or a more thick tank squad to sort of be able to get up to these anti-tank guns because they're just working through this push right now.
Wow, Pesky has 7 anti-tank weapons on the field at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely the strength of Beaumont. Considering how fast you can deploy them too, it's unfortunate that Bartuby hasn't set up a defensive line like Pesky has. He should definitely have some ATGs set up along the front of his base here to deny any of these entries that are happening right now on Pesky.
Mm-hmm. That single anti-tank gun is doing God's work, just holding off the troops as they push to try and counter the offensive in the south that Pesky's mounted. He's actually got troops getting very, very close. I think, honestly, if he just provides them a little bit of armor support, could be... Oh,
yeah,
no.
Bartuby's in trouble now. He's lost that troop advantage that he had on that north lane because those tanks finally do get behind the bunkers and take out those troop trucks. And now Pesky's going to start to move these ATGs up onto the front line, and they'll be actually able to hit the towers of Bartuby.
Yep. Yeah, they have crazy good range. It's a great weapon for attacking those towers from outside the engagement range of both the towers and most of the units on the board. But I mean, another thing to look at here is look at Pesky's worth right now. He's almost double what Bartuby's got. Wow. He's $300 in net worth. I mean, a lot of it is in those tank destroyer or those anti-tank guns. Don't get me wrong, because he does have 8 of those on the field.
Seriously invested in them.
He's heavily invested in them, but they're working out for him. I mean, even with a lack of mobility units, though he does have 10 Willys Jeeps on the field, which I think most of those came out with the actual anti-tank weapons. He's got 7 troop trucks, so he's not short on manpower. He's finally pulled an artillery truck out to help defend the barrage of infantry coming to help stop, the push. Overall, though, I think Pesky's just got a better attack strategy here, and he's just like we saw kind of in the middle of that last map. He's starting to kind of strangle Bartuby with his money.
We'll see if he can finish it out. An issue he had with the last round that ultimately cost him the map as Bartuby turned the tides and came back. But I don't know how Bartuby's going to turn the tides here. Maybe a nice, yeah,
artillery barrage coming in from Pesky.
Oof. Huge.
Man, what a massive blow to the defenses right outside of Bartuby's base. I mean, most of those artillery
those
tanks are just
real.
Dusted. Yeah,
they're one shot away from being killed, and you know he sends in a mobile artillery tank of his own.
Jeez. Look at that line of tanks coming out of Bartuby's base, though. He's got like 6 tanks and 1 artillery tank moving out now. He's going to take that not focused on bridge. However, he's going to have a lot of trouble because Pesky is seeing it happen. And he is going for it. The Calliope coming in. It's raining in fire. Calliope's just raining all over each other. One does go down.
Ooh, and they're getting bunched up there.
That's not good. Yeah, not good at all. Another Calliope comes in for Pesky. That's going to help even things out. And now there goes Bartuby's. And this entire column of armor that Bartuby just spent all that money on has just been decimated. And now Pesky's going to go ahead and start pushing his way across that bridge. He said, you know what? Enough's enough. It's time to make the push. Wow. Oh, my God. There's like 0 units on Bartuby's side right now. This is not looking good for him.
No, he has a few troop trucks in his base, a flame truck there to deal with any hard pushes coming out of the lanes from units. But the issue he has is this ATG that's taken down one of his base turrets. And if Pesky can, he has put up a ATG to deal with the other side. I mean, Bartuby has to counter these with ATGs of his own, or send in a whole nother wave like he did last time.
Yeah, I think right now, I think if Pesky would push that artillery up from down in the south to right outside to where it can reach that Calliope inside, it would probably be a good move, because right now the Calliope is just completely decimating everything that tries to enter the front gates. I mean, that'll be negated a little bit once the anti-tank gun can stop having to focus on towers and can focus on actual units, but
he's got
those towers actually.
He just put one up pretty far forward that may have shots onto those Calliopes, and he's also sending in a Calliope squad along with some of these Jeeps into this north lane, and he's really hammering on these towers. Has 1 tower down, only 2 towers left for Bartuby, and he's just getting slammed by the mobile artillery.
Yeah, it is definitely raining hellfire down onto Bartuby Jones right now, but you know what? That's good for us, NightFiree, because that puts us in a map 3 decider for our series if Pesky can manage to go ahead and finish this out.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got this squad of mobile artillery strafing the base of Bartuby.
Beautiful.
And they just hammer down that second turret on the north side, and they only have 1 turret to deal with left, and they don't even need to deal with it if they just want to come in from the north. Oh my gosh, how many Calliopes? This is 4 4 Calliopes here in the front door of Bartuby Jones.
Yeah. I mean, Pesky's net worth is it's like $400. I don't know that I've seen that in any of the matches that I've observed, casted, or the like, but Bartuby Jones had dropped down to under 100 there. I mean, Pesky has outclassed him here, definitely. I mean, this is kind of what we saw in the last map, inversed, you know what I mean? Like, crazy, the Final Assault world. Crazy how these maps can just flip on a dime.
Oh yeah, the maps make such a huge difference. An artillery barrage coming in, taking down one of the ATGs. That was definitely doing some work for Bartuby, denying any sort of tanks trying to cross that south bridge. And now the ATGs at the door, at the front base. Yikes, just hammering any unit that comes out of there. I think he just needs to end the misery of Bartuby Jones and move on to map 3 here.
Yeah. Yeah, just take everything and just draw a big circle on the map and then put a target on Bartuby's base. Just push everything in right now.
Move all guns, all Humvees. I think
Bartuby,
it's the
sliver of damage to his base. I mean, like the 0.1st of percent. Man, but either way, this has been a good one. I mean, we saw Bartuby basically hand Pesky his notice in the first map. Now we're seeing Pesky return the favor here on map 2. Who knew Maginot would be such a wonderful map for a comeback here for Pesky? But Pesky, I don't know, maybe he's been waiting for this map all season because he is playing it incredibly well. Another artillery barrage going to come in from Pesky.
Yep. Down goes the anti-tank gun. That was his only real defensive piece there, and here comes the push. The ATGs advancing forward into a firing position onto the base. The Calliopes, the artillery sitting there. A good attempt from Bartuby Jones. He had a nice early lead, a nice early push onto that north lane, but couldn't quite capitalize enough on those hidden troop trucks, and ultimately Peskycashew with the ATGs and sort of that turtling front line has taken map 2, and we go to a map 3 decider.
Absolutely. I mean, again, Pesky did what he needed to do, which was, you know, gain control of that center bridge area and then push from there. And, you know, it didn't quite go well for him at the start. You know, he... What in the world? I didn't get it. Oh, there we go. He started to lose footing on it there at first, but then, you know, he kind of got his wits about him. He held off the oppression for just a minute or so, long enough for him to recuperate and get some more troops out on the board. And then, yeah, he set up a nice backline defense, utilized his armor effectively, and made slow, effective, incremental pushes until he was right outside the base. And then we saw this beautiful symphony and orchestrated Calliope strafings, and it was like, I don't know, I started to like hear the Nutcracker in my head. It was like, you know what I mean?
I think you're going crazy. You're hearing things, man. You gotta check that out, dude.
It is quite possible, NightFiree. But I do it every day. VRML and Final Assault and Pavlov and Onward and Contractors and all those other games that we support at the VR Master League. Because that's what we want. We want to see VR esports make a name for itself, become the next big thing. You know, I want to see the guys and gals who have been in here in the trenches, you know, on the tip of the spear for the VR esports front, really getting in there and becoming the next, you know, 100 Thieves and Team Liquids and FaZe and, you know, all those big clans
just
from all the
play the games
shooters.
You have fun playing.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could just have fun, but who's having fun if you're not winning?
Or you could just join the league and have a good time, no pressure, have some fun competitive rounds. That is a open entry.
But you should still want to win. Folks, NightFire's gonna hand me my pink slip after this cast. I just want to
fired.
Fired. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, now this map I actually have not seen played competitively.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Played it a few times myself, and I absolutely hate it because, to be honest, I am terrible about managing the full map. Like I do exactly what we've seen happen here a few times already, which is get tunnel vision, get focused on one thing, and then
Brilliant,
just...
Commander.
Whoa.
You made short work of those enemy troops.
I think we have a a bit of a I'd say maybe a tech issue or something there. Maybe I had to do a remake for some reason. Unsure. Maybe oh, you know what? It could have been he might not have been seeing the correct map. Been on the player's side. We'll figure it out. We'll hash out the tech difficulties, but a bit of a false start there. Yeah, we're back to another close quarters map. The artillery going to be a key element there. I didn't even get a chance to look at what divisions were selected on each side before we ended up.
I think Beaumont was selected, and Fitz maybe. Is that the U.S. female division? Fritz?
Nichols.
Nichols. There we go. That's who he was using. Someone was using. Yeah, there we go. Bartuby was using. Oh, it was Galland. Man, I'm terrible at this game, NightFiree.
All right, but just gotta do your,
Bartuby
do your research.
Yeah, I know. Season 1, folks. We'll get it. Onward definitely didn't have casts like this in its first couple of. I don't even think we started casting Onward until like what, NightFiree? Like season 3?
What do you call casting? Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. So when did the first NightFiree, or not NightFiree, but
I think it was season. It was season 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't in the league at that part of the. I don't think I came in until season 2.
You ready up so we can get into the third map here of
No,
of the
I'm tired
game
of
that
you
we're
telling me what-
currently spectating instead of you reminiscing?
No.
You're really getting a lashing today, dude. Map number 3, Wallenberg. We have Galland versus Nichols. Nichols definitely one of the crowd favorites. I'm interestingly enough getting an odd bug there where I'm seeing Calliopes as an option for Nichols tier 4 unit. Definitely not real.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. Actually, I'm seeing a doubled tier 4.
Yeah. Yep, that would be a heck of a class right there. You'd have to watch out for
Right.
that.
Have her P-38s and the freaking Calliopes have death from above and on the ground at the same time? No, thank you. Pesky obviously planning to play that air battle here on this map, though. Not sure. Maybe he's got the inside scoop. Maybe the air battle's the way to go. I mean, there are a lot of lanes and avenues and things and places to be. So
it's Wallenberg. There's a lot of walls. So maybe the air being above will be able to.
Line of sight will be an issue, that's for sure. So aircraft will have that advantage, as they will always basically have a line of sight with their high angles. But yeah, we'll have to see, because I mean, Galland isn't necessarily a good air counter. He does have the anti-air. He does have the anti-air trucks that he can use, but again, they're a little bit lower DPSing on the German side versus the American side, which has slower mobility but higher DPS, and then vice versa coming from the German side. But I don't know. We'll have to see. The infantry troops are gonna have to run long routes though, because the lanes are very like crooked and all over the place. Like they wrap around like a snake on the south side of the map. I mean, it's just a lot of transaction. It's not as much of a straightforward push as it has been in some of these other maps. Kind of got to go around your elbow to get to your kind of thing.
You need to position troop trucks in the right spots to get those additional troops to quickly support your lanes. And Bartuby Jones here has decided he wants command of the center of the map, and it's definitely the right choice, because this artillery truck is just hammering the base turrets of Pesky, almost going really unpunished here. I think Pesky slowly investing, though. If you noticed, he's finally upgraded to the tier 4, and so you should start to see these real powerful air units come in from the blue side.
Yeah, I mean, well, on Bartuby's side, he's still only in tier 3, but you know, he's putting a lot of armor out on the field right now. He's putting a lot of ground units out first. He's not really too concerned about those big tank destroyers just yet. I'm sure he'll be pulling them out here before too long, but I'm thinking anti-air is going to be his next focus, because he knows that those P-38s are getting ready to come out. He knows that the damage that they're going to bring with them and how almost unstoppable they can be in the hands of the right person. But we'll have to see here. Armor battle getting ready to happen here in the center of the map on the mound in Wallenberg. Bartuby going to draw back his artillery, not let it get caught in the crossfire. That way, if it does go down, he's got a chance still.
It's so strange right now. Pesky is investing heavily in the tanks, which cost him more as Nichols. And meanwhile, Bartuby has a bunch of AA, some dive bombers and anti-air, and also some fighter planes up here, completely commanding the sky. And I don't think I've seen a tier 3 or a tier 4 air unit come out from Pesky yet, or any air unit really.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen, but a couple of fighters I think from Pesky so far on the blue side. But no, I mean, honestly, NightFiree, I don't think he can wait that long. If he waits long enough to get to unlock the tier 4 stuff and to get
Well,
that,
he's got it
then-
unlocked.
Well,
He's gotta
right.
buy
I
it.
mean, in order to buy it, you know, he's got to wait, and he's losing troops like every second. That armor battle, he sent 4 tanks up there to the center, and they all got demolished. Now Bartuby's gained advantage in the south or in the north. He's gaining advantage in the center. He's soon going to be opening up that gate.
Yeah. Got a tank
And
just
it's-
sitting there.
Yeah.
Bartuby getting real nice control of the entire map, focused on all the lanes, really not putting too much attention up there into the north, but he's got the AA out here to deny any sort of planes that Pesky's trying to throw out to take out the fighters that are swarming around Bartuby's tanks. He's doing a nice job to deny control of the air from Pesky.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, Pesky's not even able to really utilize his best air assets because he can't afford them right now.
This dive bomber's gonna get this tower.
He's too busy having to fight off the pushes, but now it seems like maybe he's getting a footing again. The armor's starting to come out of the south, the artillery helping defend the base still, but I don't know. I mean, Bartuby hasn't even taken a scratch on his towers yet.
Pesky kind of snuck in there, managed to take control of the center, and left the tank on the drop and gets his first cash drop. So maybe he can start to invest in some more of these air units, but he's super focused on the micro and this tank battle going on the south.
Yeah, he does have paratroopers now out on the field, so he'll be able to drop them in from just about anywhere on the map so long as he doesn't get it caught up in the anti-air fire. So a good way to drop in some troops further downfield without having them have to run their little tukuses off.
I think the standard strat is to mass a couple of them at your base like you do troop trucks, because they definitely spawn a lot more units than troop trucks. So you're basically getting an additional wave of troops spawned in from one of those planes. So you get 2 of them there, spawning units down onto your base. They're safe with your anti-air guarding them. And now we do see the P-38s coming out. The air control is going to be here for Pesky if he sends out his fighters, and things might start to get pretty rough for Bartuby, even though he has taken control of the map and taken down 2 towers.
Yeah, I mean, Bartuby's absolutely roasting Pesky as far as his base is concerned, but Pesky's putting up such a great fight in regards to the actual land battle. Like, he's fought his way back, and oh wow, never mind. I'm totally misreading that board because good gracious, Bartuby is just, I mean, he's covering 75% of the board already with just like, there is 0 blue presence outside 20 meters outside his main gates.
Yeah, he is. It's looking very similar to the choking out of Bartuby last round. This whole offensive line sitting at the doorstep of Nickel's base, and don't want to do that. Just want to bring back the scoreboard. Almost.
Yeah, I'm really wondering. I'm not sure what Pesky's gonna do here. I mean, is he gonna try and lean into the bombers a bit, and try and clear out some of the armor with that? I'm not sure that he can, though. I mean, Bartuby's been placing anti-air all around the map, so it's not like there's many holes in that coverage.
Yeah. There was a moment there when Pesky got the cash drop. He could have spawned in a couple P-38s and I think taken real control of the map. He could have used the P-38s to harass any of the remaining tanks that were on this high ground here, but yeah, it's not looking good for Pesky now. 7, almost 8 minutes in, he has just lost his 3rd tower, and it was a base tower nonetheless, and he has 0 control of the map. You're absolutely right. Here comes the push, though. The fighter plane's coming out, trying to take control of the sky.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to do what the class does best, right? I mean, taking a fight on the ground against Beaumont or against
Gallant.
I want to call him Gallagher for some reason. Yeah, so taking the fight to the ground against Gallagher while you're a more air-centric force, I just called him Gallagher.
You did.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. You're like, I want to call him Gallagher. You're like, okay, we're just going to call him that.
I'm just gonna call him Gallagher. You know what? That's just what I'm gonna do. Locke is gonna write me a dirty email later, but it's fine because I love him. I'll make it better, I promise. Anyways, but yeah, I think Pesky's not playing to the strengths of Nichols right now, and it's really starting to hurt. It really hurt him very early on, very quickly. I think had he changed up the strategy and stopped focusing a little bit so much on the armor right out of the gate, he might not be in such a tough position, because either way, I mean, it's I see what's going on. I see him kind of making that comeback and starting to take control. The south has been cleared out. The center is being worked its way out. But at the same time, if Bartuby manages to break that defense again, there's really nothing stopping him after that. So from just waltzing back into base, because that north bush is still just inching its way closer and closer to that last tower that's on fire, and then it's just going to be north lane open, walk on in.
Yeah, Pesky here getting a lot of time to regain map control, though. He's got the tank units out. They managed to retake that top floor. He's going to lose all these tanks and this AA so fast, though, as Gallon starts to answer back with tank destroyers. And I think that may be the final straw for Pesky. Unless Pesky can really gain dominating air control, use these P-38s to take out these tank destroyers, he's going to have a hard time. And they're getting kind of destroyed by the anti-air that's circling around the rest of the map.
Yeah, again, I mean, Bartuby didn't leave many holes for Nichols to fly her planes through. I mean, now he's got two AAs pushing up with the two tank destroyers, basically making it impossible for the P-38s to make their strafe runs. But here comes another one. Pesky is getting quite good at that. He did manage to take out one of the tank destroyers, and it looks like maybe even one of the anti-airs.
Yeah, we're in a real battle right now. Those P-38s are really doing work onto the tank destroyer, but yeah, the base is broken open.
Yes, it has, and we didn't even realize it. It's also even taken some damage already. Not looking good now. A tank destroyer's made its way in, and he's got really no armor to stop it. I mean, the artillery's there, but ooh, and that last shot, getting lucky, saving his butt. But Bartuby's got more tank destroyers rolling out of his manufacturing supply facility back at his base, and they're going to be making their push right back to where those last ones went, right in that north gate.
Yeah, this is a nice push right here.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, Pesky hasn't gotten a second troop transport in yet, so he really hasn't gained dominating control of any of these lanes. Bazooka troopers have come out on Bartuby's side, so Bartuby utilizing the advantages of Gallon and being that the troop-centric side for German, and now these tank destroyers are peppering the base of Pesky. Yeah. I don't think Pesky has an answer.
I don't think he does either. He's got some tanks rolling out of the garage now, but I think it's a little too late, because he also has tanks backing up his tank destroyers and then Panzerschreck troops just outside the gate. I mean, yeah, I really don't see a way out for this. It's looking like it's going to be Bartuby Jones, map 3 at any time now. Pesky just nothing to respond with. I really think that mistake of the early game, going too heavily on the ground with a division that's not made for it, was just the fall of Pesky on this one. And there you have it, folks. Bartuby Jones will take map number 3, and he'll be the winner of our series 2-1. He did take our first map, Sternberg, I believe that was, and then he will have taken the third map with Pesky going in and taking Maginot in a beautiful display of force overall. But overall, man, I mean, a great series, NightFiree. I couldn't have asked for a better one. I've been trying to up my coverage on this game a little bit more. And my schedule this week was just terrible, but I figured, I'll grab this game because you were already on it, make it easy. And I'm glad I did, because it was definitely worth it. You know what I mean? Like, it was a worthwhile match. It wasn't a blowout, and it wasn't like a 4-hour match that just takes forever.
We're week 5 into the season now, so the matches are starting to kind of get a little bit more refined, and I think we'll start to see an average map time of around 20 to 25 minutes for like a well-played game for a real battle, and we almost got there on a couple of the maps here today. So yeah, definitely a good matchup, a nice series, fun to watch, fun to spectate. Definitely can learn a lot if you are still trying to hone in your skills and understand the game by just watching a couple of these matches. And if you have buddies you want to show the game off to, make sure to recommend the stream. I think that's going to be it from us today, though, for the Final Assault Master League. Sleepy, do you have any final words?
No, I would like to thank the folks who did come out to hang out with us while we brought this cast to you. Of course, I'd like to thank our partners and sponsors over at the VRML, ProTube VR, and VR Cover. Of course, ProTube not really being too much help in this game particularly, but if you're into other VR games and VR shooters, ProTube VR's got you covered for virtual gun stocks, including their new Force Tube, which allows you to feel force feedback and recoil in VR now. And then also, of course, VR Cover, which makes, fantastic replacement covers for Oculus, Vive, Windows Mixed Reality, all of that stuff. So make sure you check both of those out at their websites. And of course, again, thanks to everyone who came out and watched with us.
If you want to get more involved, head on over to vrmasterleague.com/final assault so you can register for a team, which would be yourself. You can join the Discord, find the Twitch and Twitter links, all the information you need to get all the Final Assault action you need. My name is NightFiree with 2 E's, Sleepy, my co-caster Sleepy with 2 3's. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Oh yeah, the game's free. Go try it.